Good Tuesday morning of the 12th week. And these are some of the most famous sayings that our Lord, I think Matthew, that he said, and I think Matthew simply collected them. There's one right after the other. Jesus said to his disciples, this chapter, by the way, is chapter 7 in Matthew's gospel. Do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls before swine. That's a great line, okay? Lest they trample them underfoot and turn and tear you apart, tear you to pieces. Boy, those pigs are playing rough. Anyway, see, don't throw what's holy to dogs, or pearls to swine. That's a famous, famous, famous line. It's a wisdom line, you know. Do to others whatever you have, what you would have them do to you. That's just what I said. This is the law and the prophets. That's what I said yesterday. But this is interesting. He said, enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road broad that leads to destruction. And those who enter through it are many. How narrow the gate and constricted the road that leads to life. Those who find it are few. Well, that could be terrifying, but I think in a general description it's true of the virtuous life. Aristotle, the ancient Greeks, saw this clearly. You want a full and happy life, you have to have virtue. It's rare because you have to practice it from childhood. A key function of the home, and you know this, is to teach your children, in a sense, how to behave, how to treat each other well. You start with your immediate family. How to be a good sister and brother, how to be a good cousin, how to be faithful. You see, it starts very, very basically. And then those concentric circles of friendship extend outward and outward and outward. That's what it is to be a neighbor, you see. Say, do to others what you'd have them do to you. See? So don't throw your weight around unless you want your weight. They throw their weight around to you, you see. It's the law and the prophets. And the Greeks, especially the Greeks, understood that the gate is, in other words, enter through the narrow gate of what? The gate to human flourishing and human perfection. It's a narrow gate, and very few people achieve it because they don't practice the virtues. They, in many ways, practice, what's the word I want? It's equivalent to throwing your weight around. They want to impose their will. They want to impose themselves on circumstances and situations. You see it in marriage. You can see it in the business world, in the professional world, in the academic world. People throw their weight around. Okay? And it's a narrow gate. The narrow gate is the gate of virtue. That you are wise in how you live your life. You are wise in how you treat one another. See? And it is a narrow gate. Aristotle, in his Nicomachean Ethics, has a whole treatise. It's the whole thing is a treatise on ethics, how to live a flourishing life. What Aristotle said, the aim of life is to be happy, eudaimonia, to be flourishing, happy and flourishing. See? But to get there, one has to have internal discipline, and they're called habits. And virtues, habits of the heart, virtues, so that you feel what you need to do. In other words, you know what you need to do, but you also have the habits and the emotions to go with it. You're not in inner conflict with yourself. You're not torn apart with, you know what I ought to do, but the things I need to do, I don't do. Well, the virtuous person knows what to do and can do it and does do it. Why? Because they have practiced the virtues. They've honed the virtues. I'll tell you this, you see that in religious life because the religious life is a life that has to be lived virtuously, or you have to learn how to actively be a friend in the community, a friend to everyone, even if you don't like them personally. Because if you don't, it's a hellish and lonely existence. See? It's friendship that leads you to your own flourishing and the flourishing of everyone else, you see? And it is a narrow gate. It doesn't come very easily. I think that was the thing about, in my own experience of student life when we first started back 65 years ago. You didn't pick your classmates. yet for the next 11 years, you're going to live with those classmates. And every house we lived in, we moved to as a class. We did not move them we were not moved individually. So my class is the class of 69. It's the year we got ordained. From 59 to 71, every house we went to, or wherever we lived as a class. Began with 25, and the end of us was 11 of us. And there was an intimate bond between us. To this day, there's this expression in my community, he's my classmate. And that means a bond of friendship, a very, very special friendship. Yeah, he's my classmate. Now your classmate Terry, that's my classmate Joe, you see? That doesn't say, that's not giving you a historical thing. It's telling you about a community of friendship. You see that? Yeah. It is acquired over many, many years. It's just as we say, enter to the narrow gate, the gate of friendship. For the gate is wide and the road broad that leads to destruction. Selfishness, competition. See? And he says, what is our Lord saying? Those who enter through it are many. It's hard to be virtuous. It's very, very difficult because our basic tendency is to be selfish, to look out only for ourselves. And the paradox is that leads to a very lonely and self-destructive life. Again, you don't need to be a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. All you have to do is read Aristotle, read some of the philosophers as they reflected on life. And they showed they weren't religious. They were anything but what they understood, what wisdom entailed, how to live and flourish, eudaimonia, how to flourish and be happy as a human being. And Aristotle said we are social animals. We live and flourish in a community of friends. But that doesn't come automatically. It is a matter of personal virtuous training from the time you're born. Okay? Your home is your first experience of virtue, your parental love, your siblings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then your friends, I would say in my terms, the neighborhood, the schools, et cetera, your friends, your professional friends. The ultimate form of friendship is your spouse and your family. It's not an automatic. You would think the intimacy of love that comes through marriage would be automatic. It is like hell. I have a saying, the loneliest place in the world could be the marriage bed. It's horrible, but that's what selfishness is like. You're sleeping with a stranger. Isn't that horrible? God, Lord, it's horrible. If the ministerial life, not the philosophical life, has taught me anything, that's a possibility. I think Aristotle would have said it long before. Our Lord certainly, namely, selfishness is self-destructive. Okay? Self-destructive. Virtue is self-creative, not destructive. And it leads to the intimacy of friendship, both immediate and intimate and broad as a community. Yeah, that's the truth. There's a lot of wisdom in these texts. These guys have seen it all and done it all. See, maybe our Lord said it, I don't know. They're probably sayings that and Matthew was there for him, and in a sense, he wrote them down. And they've become part of Christian wisdom. But the truth is, you don't have to be a Christian to understand this. Aristotle said it. Plato said this 400 years before Christianity. It's the wisdom of life itself. Anyway, just again, a reflective thought for the day.